And we're live.
Oh, right. Oh, blimey.
Straight in there. Just wrote it. I try to do that with every guest. So I found you through the discovery page on Instagram by typing the Chichester location.
Yeah.
And you collect stamps.
I do.
What made you want to collect stamps?
Oh, wow. Now there's a question. I think I suppose I'm of a quite an analog generation. I mean, for instance, like when I was at school, when I was sort of maybe about sort of 8, 9 or 10, there was a school calculator.
Just one to share between everyone?
Between the whole school. No computers.
My God.
Just one calculator.
Okay.
So, yes, it was an analog life.
Very much so, yeah.
So, and one of the things that, that youngsters did in those days was to collect stamps. It was a way of, it was a kind of like a way of learning about the world and different countries, and is a kind of a window on different countries. So
of course, I never thought of it that way because there's so much history in a stamp. Yeah. You could get one from Brazil and it's got a landmark on it that you wouldn't discover through the internet.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. And of course, that's one of the things that countries actually do is on their stamps they promote their what they have for people to actually come and visit. Or they'll use stamps for political purposes, all sorts of things. So you can kind of understand. You get a little bit of a just a sort of more of a window on the image of a country, if you see what I mean. What they want you to know.
Specifically filtered, nothing that they don't want you to know.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Wow. You said there was the political aspect as well. What sort of things would they?
It's kind of like it's how a nation actually wants to be seen. Like, for instance, a lot of USA stamps, for instance, have the word freedom on their stamps. You actually look at many of their stamps. There's freedom, truth, love, those kinds of words
to say we are the country of freedom, truth, and love.
Exactly, that's exactly it. So that's the image that they would wish to present.
Very humble,
usually.
Yeah. Are there times where it shows a negative impact on the country?
I think it can do. There was, for instance, like Nazi Germany, for instance. So Hitler was actually. I think the Nazi regime understood the value of stamps, because it was a way of actually promoting particular ideas or particular political images to youngsters. Because of course, youngsters, that was one of the things that youngsters actually did was to collect stamps.
Yeah.
So there are swathes and swathes of Nazi era stamps. There's portraits of Hitler. Hitler would actually do. I think, from memory, I think they used to issue a new set of Hitler portraits every year on his birthday.
Oh my God! At the time, it was seen as marvelous and glamorous, I suppose.
Exactly, and of course, it promoted what that government actually wanted to promote.
Yeah. Would they ever put like swastikas or messages like the freedom, love?
Yes. There were. Yeah. So it is kind of like one of those kind of sort of curious collecting areas. Do you collect? But people do collect Nazi memorabilia. Obviously,
yeah. Even if they aren't followers,
exactly. Okay. And there is that kind of idea, isn't there? That it shouldn't be off limits, because if it's off limits, then no one's going to learn about it except in some kind of anodyne school kind of a way, which again is. I don't like to use the word propaganda, but it's a way of, it's a way that something has actually been presented.
Yeah.
Whereas I think that people should understand. I think people should try and understand actually where something like that Nazi Germany actually, well, where did it come from? Maybe those stamps will actually make people ask, well, why did that happen? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of so. Yeah.
So the stamps could have been a huge part in World War II, in a way.
In a way, it reflects. I think that's the thing. I think that's one of the things actually about about stamps. That's what I mean. It reflects what was actually happening at that time.
Right. So it's a huge mark of history.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
That's incredible.
It's a window on history, I think, and it makes it real. Do you know what I mean? Actually handling something that actually came directly out of Nazi Germany.
Yes.
You know, from that time. You know, makes it. You know, it's not just a history book.
Yeah.
You know, it's an actual. You know,
a part of history,
and it's a real thing, and it's here in the present now. Kind of, let's learn from it.
Wow. I never would have thought that a stamp would hold a history. I thought when I initially messaged you,
Yeah,
I was thinking, stamps, what could there be? Maybe there's some famous artists, you know, you stick a stamp on something and you send it off, but there's history to it.
there is. Yes.
That's incredible. Do you know
Yes,
any other
right.
parts of history that have been discovered through stamps?
I think. I mean, one of the things that countries also do is they like to commemorate things. I'm sure you've seen many ordinary stamps, but they're called commemoratives. So they'll commemorate. Let's say, not that I take a huge amount of interest in actually modern UK GB commemoratives,
Okay.
but they'll commemorate anything, you know, like Jane Austen or the Brontes or famous admirals, or doesn't matter what it is, all sorts of all sorts of different stuff. Go on.
So commemorating something is like remembering it and
Yes.
glorifying it in a way?
That's an interesting idea. I think because most postal organisations they are actually, I mean, they're government departments, so they're run by governments. So inevitably, I think they're going to reflect. They're going to even very slightly. They might actually reflect the government of the day.
Okay.
So so some things might be right to commemorate, or some things might be wrong to commemorate.
Oh, okay.
I'm sort of thinking like when so I'm going to mention the B word, Brexit.
Oh Lord, that would be a different podcast in itself if we went into that.
Oh, I know exactly, but it was 1973, I think, was when the UK actually joined the EEC, as it was actually known then, wasn't it? And a set of stamps was actually issued. But I think because it was generally speaking uncontentious thing at the time. I think the majority of the people actually wanted that to actually happen.
Yeah.
But because it's so divisive at the moment, they haven't, you know, I think there's been talk about, there should be a set of commemorative stamps to commemorate leaving the European Union. But of course, there hasn't been. There's been the 50p, and you know, and you think how much of a fuss, you know, that made. So kind of like
course.
some things maybe we won't. So commemorate.
Understand. So Brexit is so political now. It would be like putting the Labour Party's logo on a stamp. Like that would cause an uproar, surely.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. But you could, let's say, commemorate. I mean, I know. Like they've commemorated, the founding of the Trade Union Congress, for instance.
Okay.
They could issue a stamp. Let's say, I mean, I don't know when the Labour Party was founded, for instance. I think 150 years ago, maybe something like that.
Okay.
Perhaps they could actually issue a stamp. Yes, commemorating the founding of the Labour Party. But then, yes, you'd probably have to do something
just as equally big for the
other
opposition.
parties as well. Yes, especially. Yeah, exactly.
Have there
So-
been events where political sort of views of the nation have been swayed due to a stamp or due to stamps?
I can't think of any actually. To be honest, no, no, I don't think. I think it's more subtle than that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
I think
It's the little things. What about authors? Because do they put authors on stamps?
Yes, yeah. J.K. Rowling's been has been commemorated. Enid Blyton has, I think.
Oh, I'm not sure. What sort of books has Enid Blyton written?
Oh, so no, you probably won't. You might not know about Enid Blyton. Enid Blyton wrote. She wrote Famous Five, Secret Seven.
My mum has told me about those. I'm too young, but
Yeah.
that's. Wow. Do you think book sales ever increased because of stamps? Do you know any?
Yes, I think. But I think part of it also is Royal Mail is actually quite keen on raising money. It's it's an additional revenue stream, to be honest, in many ways.
Right.
Like they do Star Wars stamps. There's a whole series of Star Wars stamps.
Oh my! In the UK.
Yes, yeah. So you can buy all of these, Star Wars related, Star Wars related stuff, and you kind of think, well, why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
It's fun. Yeah.
Exactly.
Both-
It's fun.
Everyone
It's
benefits.
Exactly. It's harmless, and yeah, exactly.
100%. Are you a fan of the Star Wars series?
Not particularly. So I'm old enough to remember it in 1977.
Oh, when it was first released.
Yes.
Oh my! What did you think of it? Was it like?
It was a massive thing. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely massive. I mean,
Yeah.
it was even then. Even then, it was kind. So I was.
A huge historical event.
Yeah, I was 9. So of course, bang the right age, kind of.
Yeah, to
know.
believe in that sort of fantasy
Yes,
world.
To enjoy it. Yes, exactly.
So did you watch them when you were younger?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
God.
Yeah, did. Yeah.
What about, did that equate to any other special effects at the time to you?
It was very different. I think it was, because I suppose space, kind of like space, it's kind of like, there was a lot of rubbish on the television with really terrible effects.
Oh, right.
So suddenly there was, because it still looks good today, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I love it.
Yeah.
But there are some, like Doctor Who, I think.
Yeah.
Some series, you look at it and you think that's a man in a costume.
Exactly.
But that never happened with Star Wars. It was
No.
always
Yes.
an incredible alien.
Yeah. Exactly. No, it was clever stuff. And I suppose that's one of the things, and as the years go by, kind of thing, the story is just kind of a bit universal, really. And the older I get, the more I kind of enjoy that. It's a very, very simple, straightforward story.
Really?
And-
I suppose there's a princess that needs to be saved. You
Yeah.
get the heroes, they go save her.
Blow up the baddie. Everyone lives happily ever after. And it's it's kind of except that they don't. Darth Vader lives. That was a big thing. Darth Vader lives.
Was that in the news? And
Yes, we go, where's Darth Vader? He's out there.
as kids, we sort of like, would your parents be like, oh, he's out there somewhere in the sky in space?
The trouble is, the parents never really kind of, Star Wars,
Oh, of course, yeah, because in their generation, space.
Yes, exactly. It's kind of, yes, yeah, exactly. So.
That's incredible. Wow. I never would have, because nowadays we see Star Wars, it's like, oh, another space thing.
Yeah.
But back then it changed history.
Well, yes, it did. Yeah.
Do you know if Doctor
Yeah.
Who came first or if it was Star Wars first?
Oh, Doctor Who, yes, because Doctor Who goes right back to Doctor Who was originally filmed in black and white, so that's in the early 60s, I think.
Okay.
It's a very, 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 very long running, And I mean, I can remember being terrified of the Daleks.
Yeah, my mum says the same.
Yeah.
She'd get the pillows and hide behind
Exactly.
them.
Sofa, round about.
God, over these robots with balls stuck on them. Nowadays,
I know,
kids
exactly.
are watching
Yeah,
the most horrific
the
things.
sink plunger, on the front kind of thing.
Yeah. God, that must have caused such fear in you, the thought that it'll just come and get you, suck your face.
Yeah, no, I know, exactly, because it was just, well, it's because it's so other. I think that's the thing. But of course, there's so much of that kind of stuff out there that my two children, they're kind of, and it's just kind of, is that scary? What? Is it scary? What? No.
they don't find it scary at all.
They don't think, yeah, exactly. I know. Yeah.
That's a shame.
Exactly.
The world's been conditioned
Yeah.
to such horror. Do they watch horror films or?
No. I have to say. I think I was quite a nervous young child. Really, I was kind of So I'm not very good at horror films at all.
Right.
So
Understandable.
Yes.
It's not really the most desirable effect to
not be able to sleep.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
to put yourself whilst watching a film is a bit
exactly.
scary, really.
Yeah, I remember seeing Jaws, and I couldn't sleep for 3 nights.
No way.
Oh no, exactly. It's just a freaking fish.
Just an oversized fish.
Exactly.
Playing you night horrors. Oh man.
So stamps don't scare you in the middle of the night.
Do you know of any stamps that have been based on horror films?
Oh, I know Doctor Who has. I'm sure you will find some. If you looked, you will find some.
Fabulous. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll have a little browse on the internet.
Yeah, definitely.
I do actually have some stamps here.
Oh yeah, cool. Can have a little look and see see what.
They're apparently from all over the world, and I bought them all for £3.50.
Cool. Okay. So that's Greece. So you get to know. You get to know. Oh well, look, that's James Bond, Thunderball. So yeah, James Bond was a.
Right.
They see this here. Those see that these are 2 stamps. So this is a stamp here. There's one of the Houses of Parliament.
Mm-hmm.
62nd Interparliamentary Conference. Oh yeah, that's exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. Everyone wants to listen to politicians talk.
So I think that's 1974. I think from roughly.
Right.
And that one there, that's a Christmas stamp, and that is about 1990, maybe a bit earlier. So you kind of think, well, what are 2 stamps? Stamp from 1974 and a stamp from 1990. What are those actually doing on the same bit of parcel, which has obviously it hasn't been cancelled, so you can't tell actually when it's been used. But I would say that's been used recently.
Right.
So of course. There are an awful lot of unused stamps, but of course the face value, you can use them, you can still use them.
They're the exact same value.
Yep. So that was 12p in 1974, and it's 12p now.
My God.
So
wow.
so you can still use it. So that's what a lot of people do is people buy old unused stamps at below face value, which is great.
Yeah.
Cheaper postage.
Yeah.
And then they whack it on parcels and they send it out, and that's what you get.
Incredible. So it would actually cost less to buy a stamp like this if you were to get it online.
You'd need to look out for if you just look the commemoratives, for instance.
Okay.
You may well actually be able to find less than face value. In fact, we sell some of them in the shop, less than face value.
Oh.
So, because they're not really much use for collectors, but they still have an inherent value.
Yeah.
So we sell them at a discounted face value. We get them sold. It's fine. They get them sold.
That's
all
it.
we care about.
It's business.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
Yeah.
sorry, what was the name of the business?
So I work for St Wilfrid's Hospice.
Okay.
And we have, so it's our retro and vintage shop, which is in Eastgate Square,
Okay.
which I'm sure many people will be familiar with. And but of course, we get donated an awful lot of stamps. And I said, yeah, I'll sort them out. Yeah, we'll get them, get them out there, we'll get them sold, basically.
Yeah.
So that was one of the things that I was doing over lockdown, for instance.
Mhm.
So that's how Stamp Sorter actually started. So you found Stamp Sorter,
Yes.
and that was just I took home a big sack of stamps basically to sort through them and sell them through the hospice eBay shop. We've got an eBay shop.
Okay.
And so that's what I did. So what I decided to do was just, as I came across something a little bit curious, and I'll whack it out on Instagram. So basically I just do a post a day.
Fabulous. Yeah, I've noticed that the stamps
Yeah.
are beautiful.
Yeah.
They're far artier than my stamps here.
They are, and it's kind of like, I mean, many of them are, here's quite an interesting one. There's a very famous US stamp called an inverted Jenny.
Oh.
Now, an inverted Jenny was, as you can see, if you have a look at the center stamp with the aeroplane,
Yes.
the aeroplane is actually upside down.
Right.
So how back in the day, how they used to print stamps is they would actually print the stamp in two separate phases, or in two separate there would be the die that makes out, it's technical stuff, but basically there are two parts to the printing process. There's the frame,
Yeah.
and then what's called the vignette in the middle. That's actually created separately, so it's engraved separately,
Right.
and then the two are actually brought together in order to actually print the stamp.
Okay.
Now, of course, they put it in upside down.
Oh no! Someone's been fired for that, surely.
Well, quite. So a whole sheet of these inverted Jennies, no one noticed in the printing process.
Yeah.
And somebody found it in a post office, and bought the whole sheet basically, and then this has been gradually broken up and sold to collectors. But an original one of those, they're worth something like about $100,000, $200,000, something
Oh
like that.
my god! So is that a
Worth a lot of
fake
money.
or?
Oh yeah, so basically, that's commemorating one of the most famous stamps in the world. It's called an inverted Jenny.
That is incredible.
So it is
Wow.
So there is something quite ironic and quite amusing that someone can make such a mistake, and you kind of think, yes, exactly. Your immediate reaction was, well, did they get fired for it?
Yeah.
And yet, as a resultant on that is, something intensely valuable and sought after is actually created. And thank you very much to that person who actually made that mistake.
Yeah, of course. He has become a part of stamp history
Exactly.
through a silly little mistake.
Exactly. So that's there aren't any. Those are all USA stamps, but they haven't. I was saying that they all have freedom and truth and all of that kind of thing written on them. Those haven't. Ha ha. So that proves the opposite. So.
So this is excellent advice for anyone working on stamps or arts. Going to work hungover.
Yeah,
with the chance of making a mistake.
You never know. You never know what.
What could be made? Yeah.
What will actually come out? Yeah, no, exactly. Forever USA. Yes, that's another kind of one that the Americans use. So under the Art of Magic, it says Forever USA.
Wow. Oh, this is a moving stamp. Did you notice that?
I hadn't spotted that. Ah, yes. You see, that's oh, yeah.
The little bunny pops out of the
Yes,
hat.
the little bunny pops out of the hat. Exactly. Great gimmick, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Is that common for stamps? I've never seen anything like that.
Not that common. Actually, one of the posts, one of my stamp sorter posts is I discovered there's a golf one where someone's hitting a ball out of a hazard somewhere.
Right.
So you actually see the as you twist it, you see the blade of the club actually hitting the ball and the sand spraying everywhere. That's quite cool.
That
So
is excellent.
There
Did
are
you-
lots of these little things.
Yeah. There's so much more to stamps
There is.
than I ever would have thought.
I know.
Did you post a little video of him swiping, or?
I
is it
did.
just-
I did a little just to try and, because sometimes it's quite difficult to actually, because in real life you can just get the angle exactly right.
Yeah.
Trying to take an image of it on your phone it isn't always terribly easy.
Yeah, your angle is different from the camera, and
Exactly, and the light isn't bright, and I'm not a photographer.
of course, yeah. Well, you do a good job with the photography, though. I must say they're
Thank
all
you.
very clear and.
Yeah, well, I do
That's
try. I do try and make it, and I try and make it, just short and sharp. Just the kind of like just an interesting point, something that's kind of sparks a little bit of interest. So, yeah, it's fun.
What sort of captions do you put on your Instagram post?
I think that's hard to say actually, because I try and be as brief as I possibly can.
Of course, yeah.
So I try and actually, say as quickly as possible what the post is actually about.
Okay.
If you see what I mean.
Yeah, of
In
course.
as few words as possible. That's the goal.
That's logical, yeah, because it's like with YouTube videos nowadays, people have a very, very short attention span.
Yes.
So they'll go on YouTube and see a 10-second video about something that they want to learn about.
Yeah.
The 10-minute video might cover the entire subject.
Yeah.
But they'll click on the 10-second one. So
Exactly.
that makes
I know.
sense.
Yeah.
You've got quite a. Did you say you started doing Stamp Sorter during the first lockdown?
Yes. Yeah. So it is a direct result of lockdown.
Yeah. You get about 50 likes on some posts. don't you?
Yes,
That's impressive.
I have to admit, I had no idea that I thought I'm on Twitter.
Okay.
One of the other thing that I do is I'm a poet.
Oh, nice.
So I have a Twitter account for my poetry, which I think I started that in 2012. And I think I've got up to just over 300 followers.
That's pretty good, yeah.
So what's that? That's about 50 a year. So I kind of thought, that it was going to be, by the end of lockdown, I might have 75 followers if I was lucky, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that proved not to be the case. People seem to like it. So
How many do you have?
I've got I think now just under 1,000. I'm coming up
Oh
to
my.
coming up to 1,000. So
That's impressive.
it's just really surprising, really. But so I kind of think, well, I'll just keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah. Eventually, it might lead somewhere. Beautiful.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm quite happy doing it, kind of thing.
What sort of poetry do you write? Because I adore poetry.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. I read
Ah.
Do you know Mask of the Red Death by Edgar Allan Poe?
Oh, yeah. No, I don't know that one actually.
Oh, I recited that recently for a voice class.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. So what sort of what sort of poetry do you?
Oh well, everything and anything really.
Okay.
So yes, where do I begin? I've just been reading, for instance, I've just been reading Walt Whitman, and then Allen Ginsberg. So
Oh, Whitman, the Wanderer.
yes, and then there's a very long poem he did called "Song of Myself," which is quite fascinating piece of poetry.
How so?
It's kind of like it was written in the mid-Victorian era, and you kind of like to, the Victorians were quite an uptight bunch, really, weren't they? And rhyme was everything, and everything had to be neat and tidy, and all of that kind of thing.
Right.
This just isn't. It's the polar opposite. It's kind of, there are long lines, there are short lines, there are repeated sections, and it's kind of, and it's also it's almost like a manifesto, actually, of how to be a poet. It's kind of like, that kind of insistence that you have to take in every aspect of life, good and bad, tedious and interesting. It's all of life has to be kind of talked and written about.
100%, yeah.
So
that is what art is about.
Exactly. That's exactly it. It's a great manifesto. And if you're interested in, in that kind of artistic outlook, actually,
Yes.
it's. I think you might find that quite interesting.
I think I will. Yeah, the Song of Myself.
Song of Myself. It's called.
Okay. I will.
Yes.
I will look that up after this.
Yes.
Thank you. Have you heard of the Wonder Society or the Wanderer Society?
No, I haven't actually. No, what's that?
It's something that started after people were reading the Walt Whitman poems in his book. Have you heard Leaves of Grass?
Yes. Well, see, that Song of Myself was originally published in Leaves of Grass.
Right.
So, but he got a lot of stick for it because it wasn't very Victorian.
Oh Lord, how could he?
So but he edited it quite a lot over the subsequent years of his life. But yeah, go on.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
and the Wonder Society is a society of people that just wander, similar to Charles Dickens.
Okay.
And the idea is you don't set a route. All you take with you is your house keys, and you just walk. And
yeah.
during the start of COVID, I got into this book quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering whenever I could, quite often on my bike as well. And it's
Okay. Yeah.
like that artistic view you were saying. It opened my mind up, and
Yeah.
it was freeing almost.
Yeah.
It's very weird.
Yeah.
Just repeating what Whitman did.
Well, exactly, and I think I find it quite sometimes actually quite liberating. Is I leave the phone at home, and then you walk out of your front door.
Yeah.
No one knows where you are,
Yeah.
or what you're doing, or anything like that. And there's in this kind of connected and surveillance society that we live in these days. There's something quite liberating about that.
100%. Yes. We're almost always being tracked. We're almost always accessible.
Yeah, exactly. And we most of the time we choose to be like that. I mean, that's one of the things about especially with social media. I think it can suck you into this kind of this black hole of connectivity.
Which is the opposite of connectivity, really. If you're just immersed by it totally,
exactly,
you're disconnected from the world around you.
Exactly. So it's working out how to control it. That's the
beating the addiction of social media.
Yeah.
Have you heard of Facebook and companies like this? They have specific branches, like teams, that are working specifically to make it more addictive.
Oh right. Oh, are they?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's their job.
Yeah.
Day in, day out, they come into the office to get people addicted to the technology.
Yeah.
When you go out with your phone like that, does it remind you of back when the school only had one calculator and everyone didn't have this technology in their pocket? Does it give you that same freedom?
I think so, and I think that's one of the things about it is it's a tool, and absolutely, we have to view it as a tool. It's one tool in the toolbox, in the toolkit. So I did. You were saying you go out on your bike quite a lot. So I like to walk. One of my things is walking up on walking the South Downs Way, particularly is one of my things.
South Downs and Way.
The South Downs Way.
Whereabouts is that?
So that is so it's a path or trail. It actually starts in Winchester.
Okay.
And it follows the chalk escarpment, the South Downs, all of the way past here, just north of here.
Okay.
and ends up in Eastbourne, just by Eastbourne.
Oh, that's about 10 miles or so?
So no, that's in total. That's about. I'm just trying to think. It's about 100, 120, 130 miles, something like that. Is it 140? Oh, I can't
Did you say you
remember.
walk that?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, sorry. So I just walk sections.
Right, okay.
So I'll just go off onto the way and then and then walk. But
So-
I have so I have a notebook.
Ooh.
So of course, so I'm just looking, listening, using the senses basically,
Yeah.
and writing stuff down.
Fabulous.
basically.
What sort of stuff do you write down?
Yeah, so so one of the things that I've actually done is so I'll basically, well, my ambition is to write the South Downs Way. That is actually my goal, is to write it. So a mixture of prose and poetry.
Right.
So it's prose where poetry falls out of the prose. That's the idea.
Prose where the poetry falls out of
Poetry
it?
falls out. So as I'm writing,
Yeah.
suddenly a poem will fall out of what I'm writing. So I
Oh.
then and then I can edit it and whack it into shape basically.
Yeah.
So
That sounds like a more art-based way, because with a lot of poems, like you were saying with the
Yeah.
Victorian age, it's sort of planned out. You
Yeah.
go section to section, but when
Yeah.
it's just a stream of consciousness and
yeah.
it's your true like instinctual self or your emotion.
And that's and of course that's always the thing. I think what's really important is being able to control that. Always, it's kind of like so form is can be really important, and because you can, again, it's another tool. It's another tool, and the form is another tool in the toolkit.
Okay. So combining the logical side of the brain with the heart
Yes, kind of. Yes.
right,
Yeah.
of course. 'Cause
And of course, but you just never know. You never know how ideas are actually going to gonna jump out at you. I mean, one thing I've been doing this week is so I'll take a poem I'm not terribly pleased about.
Mhm.
I'll stick it in a translator. So I'll translate it into I don't know, Dutch, let's say.
Yeah.
And then stick the result into a different translator,
Mhm.
to I don't know, Kurdish,
Right.
and then translate the result back into English. And of course, so you've got a skewed set of that does resemble the original poem, but it is actually very different. And you kind of I would never have put those three words together. They it gives a kind of like a, and then you can work from there. I mean, you're not going to end up with a finished poem just by sticking it through a translator, but
Of course, yeah.
but it sparks an idea. It kind of go, oh yes, it's seeing things slant, as they say.
Seeing things,
Seeing
seeing it
things
from a
slant.
different view.
Yeah, exactly.
That's ingenious. Did you come up with that idea on your own of the translators?
No, well, there's poets are always trying to come up with interesting ways of actually coming up with new and interesting writing.
Right.
And again, form is actually one of those things. It's kind of like, because it forces you to always what you're trying to avoid is writing what you wrote yesterday. There's no point in writing what you wrote yesterday.
Cool.
You kind of like, you want to try and keep changing, keep moving forward, into different ways of actually expressing ideas. And
Yeah.
and you never know actually what things you actually want to express. Anything is, it's kind of, I mean, I'm sure you probably find, ideas come from the most odd places.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And then once you have that idea, it's then how do you then express it in a particular way? That having the idea in the first place, it's the blank page, isn't it? It's kind of
100%. Yeah, it's
the
like
tyranny.
the common metaphor of a blank canvas. You
Yes, exactly.
Get those few strokes of paint.
Yeah, you got to start somewhere.
100%. I heard a really nice analogy recently for ideas, because you have to be so patient with ideas, which is exactly what you're doing on your walks.
Yeah.
That each idea is like a piece of a jigsaw.
Yes.
And the more ideas you get, you put it together, and then you have this masterpiece.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Exactly. And the more you do it, the more the more you'll come up with really good ideas.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it is. You know, it's the Notebook is kind of like it's almost kind of like a scatter effect. It's kind of like, you know, if you want 10 good ideas, then you've got to write 200 of them. You know, do you know what I mean?
Of course, yeah. It's like photography.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. No, I can imagine. Yeah, exactly. So it's not something you can just set up and stage.
No way. It's impossible to do that.
Yeah.
It'll be like Vincent van Gogh going up to a canvas being like, right, I know exactly what I want. I'm going to do some swirls here.
Exactly.
And then it wouldn't work. It's coming from the soul, but
Exactly.
he's got the form of which paints to use that will clash with one another.
Exactly. It brings his whole experience to
Yeah.
whole experience to it. Yeah, no, exactly.
It is. It's an experience. And such a beautiful one to create. It's almost like falling in love, really. Creating an idea.
Yes.
It's so fresh.
Yeah. Exactly.
Have you heard of the work of David Lynch?
Oh yes.
Oh my god, excellent.
Yes.
I loved it. That's where I heard the jigsaw analogy.
Oh right.
Ideas.
Yeah. No, I can remember as he did Eraserhead.
Yes. I haven't seen it myself, but I
Have you not?
must.
Oh, you must. It's you know, yes. You have to get yourself organised first and decide, right, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Yes, it's not for the faint-hearted, I would say.
Oh, really? Is it quite an intense film?
It is, yes.
Oh, I thought it was going to be incredibly light-hearted, because I've heard that it doesn't follow the plot of beginning, middle, like some sort of a dilemma, then the end.
No. It's a long time since I saw it, I think, so I don't really remember a great deal about it, but there are still one or two images which reverberate in my in my mind.
Yeah.
I can picture them now. Yes. Some of it's not terrible. It's not
Is it sort of graphic
terribly.
and gory, or?
Yeah, well, you see, that's the thing. I mean, it's like anything that gets under your skin. Actually, it's not actually that. It's not. Like a Blue Velvet. Do you like?
Yes, I've seen that one.
Yeah, it's kind of like there's so much implied violence, isn't there? I think that's the thing about it.
Yeah, that's
do you know
true.
what I mean?
He gets punched a few times. but-
Yes.
yeah, that's so true.
Yeah. What is it? Was it? They find an ear, I think. Don't they, in the
Yes.
woods? I think something
Yeah,
like that.
this mouldy little ear, and then they
Yeah.
take it back home and try to find out where the ear came from.
Yeah.
He was saying he came up with the scene in Blue Velvet where the boyfriend and the ex-boyfriend, I think, are arguing, and then there's like a naked lady stood on the
Yes.
porch.
Yeah.
David Lynch was walking down the road with his brother,
Yeah.
and out of the darkness, just on a random night, he sees this naked lady walking towards, very similar to the Blue Velvet, with like marble skin. He was saying, and it's like you were saying, an idea pops out of nowhere,
Yes.
and then it's
Yeah.
in a film.
Yeah. And there it is.
For all the world to see
Yeah.
this terrifying sight. Really. Do you know any other writers similar to David Lynch? Because I haven't been able to find.
Was it in a film kind of a way? Do you mean? Or
Books too. Also, really.
yeah. No.
Okay.
Yes, is the answer to that. I have to admit. I mean, I was quite into. I was quite into film. It was a long time ago now.
Mhm.
But
Okay,
yeah.
that's really cool. How much into it were you? Did you ever get involved in the process?
No.
Okay.
No. I was only ever a consumer.
Fabulous. Yes.
But there were a lot of really good films that were made. So that would have been around about sort of the end of the 80s, the beginning of the 90s. So
Mhm.
there
Yeah.
were. I remember there's. My memory is so bad.
That's all right. Same here.
there's a, I think, no, who wrote the Cook, the Thief, His Wife, and His Lover? Have you come across that film?
I have not. No.
Well, if you like David Lynch, then you'd like that film.
Fabulous. Okay, I'll look him up.
Yeah.
Have you heard of Brazil?
Oh yes, that's well, I was a big fan of what was the first film in that series? I can't remember, because it's Terry Gilliam, isn't it?
The actor, or
Out of Monty Python.
oh yes, I remember him. He's the posh guy.
Yes, yeah. So and they did. Oh, my brain's going. You see, there's so much crap in my brain.
It's excellent. Well, I wouldn't call it crap. I'd call them jewels, jewels of art.
Yeah, no, it'll pop into my brain. But Brazil was a series of 3 films.
Right.
And yes, no, it's a fantastic film.
Oh, it was a series.
Yes, they were kind of related films. I think there was one of them was called Baron Munchausen.
Okay.
And then the first one was called the Time Bandits.
Time Bandits.
Time Bandits. That's a brilliant film.
Okay.
Love it.
I will have to write. I have a list of about 100 films now that I will write those onto. Many thanks. It's incredible. Brazil is so clever. Like most films, you must know about like metaphors in film,
Yes.
like the color. Like
Yeah.
there's always that joke about the literacy teacher that's like, the writer has written that the curtains are blue to reflect that the character is feeling melancholy, and then the student goes, no, that's just fucking blue.
It's just, quite, yeah, exactly. And sometimes actually, if you ask poets, sometimes, well, yeah, exactly, that exact question, well, why is the curtain blue? It just is.
Yeah.
That's the answer you'll get.
The audience just love interpreting it in a specific way.
Exactly. And anyway, apart from anything else, I mean, that's one of the beauties actually about it, is that that there's room for people to make those kinds of interpretations. And actually, there's an argument, isn't there, that that's where art exists anyway. Is actually in each individual consumer's mind, and how they actually interact with that particular artwork. They're actually creating art actually in that experience. So how how they might actually see that blue curtain exactly is kind of that's up to that person's creative process.
Yeah.
It's not, so, artworks aren't just kind of static,
Totally. Wow. I never, it's all beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
In a way, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So,
do you think, but what do you think about the relation between mental health and art? Because there's that quote of art should comfort the disturbed and disturb the comfortable.
Well, I think, I suppose that ultimately, I think it's because art is it's obviously it's hard to actually to actually kind of encapsulate it.
It's impossible because,
it's human. It's in a way it's human. Anything that human beings produce actually has an aspect of art about it. Ultimately, I believe.
Yes, 100%. I agree with you.
And of course, that's always going to reflect not just the creators, but a consumer. I don't like that word, but you know what I mean. People's states of mind, ultimately. So of course, it's always going to tie in with with mental health.
Even if the artist himself doesn't have mental health, you give a painting to someone with, like, let's say, schizophrenia or
but we're
anything,
all But we all have. I mean, everyone. I suppose that's one of the things that I've kind of learnt as I got older. Everyone has. Everyone needs to take care of their mental health, obviously.
Yes.
But everyone everyone has, you know, you know, I, 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 I don't know how the sort of the best way to actually say it, but you know, I don't want to use the word problems. That's not the right word.
A battle?
But yes, everyone has their own, you know, particular struggles.
Yes.
Shall we say that?
Yeah, I think that works.
Is that okay? So, you know, and well, I mean, all art, I think, works through, you know, lots of those struggles all of the time, even if people don't realise that, you know, they're just, you know, just in it to have a little bit of fun, you know, sort of kind of thing. I think still, you know, on some level, it's tapping into people's mental health, you know. At the end of the day.
Yeah. One
Whatever it
person's interpretation of Sunflowers by Van Gogh.
Yeah.
It's just sunflowers, but to another person, it could be
Yeah.
something that keeps them going for the rest of their life.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
It's like the. Oh, sorry. Carry on.
No, I was going to say was Van Gogh. I mean, there's someone who struggled with his mental health, obviously.
Yes, most definitely.
And yeah, which is quite a curious thing. But yeah.
It's a shame. It's a very horrific statement to make by me, but is it worth it in the end that he struggled? Because without him having that struggle, then he wouldn't have made the beautiful art, and the world wouldn't be able to be comforted and held.
I think that's. But on the other hand, I think if I was in some kind of godlike position, and you know, I said, right, okay, well, you can either have Van Gogh, he was, you know, completely, you know, his mental health was absolutely fine all through his life. He lived a lovely, happy life, didn't produce any art, or would you choose this kind of tortured individual that's produced all of this great art? Which one? You can go down whichever avenue you like.
Yeah, it's personal choice. I'd go for the tortured.
I'd go down the.
I suppose it's very hard. If I was with him, if like let's say you were Van Gogh and I was sat across from you, I would want to help him out. I wouldn't intentionally make his mental state worse so that he'd paint. But
no, exactly. But it's an interesting. I think that's an interesting ethical dilemma, though.
It is 100%. Wow, I wonder how many of these directors and such are struggling. Like, it's fascinating. David Lynch doesn't seem to be though. He seems to be happy.
Well, quite, yeah, exactly. And I think you know, like I think Quentin Tarantino, I think I think he's a pretty straightforwardly balanced kind of guy. I think
he seems to be. Yeah, he hangs out with actors. He gets to make incredible films.
Yeah.
Have you seen all of his films?
I haven't seen all of them. No.
Okay.
No.
Which ones have you seen? What do you really like?
Do you know what? Funnily enough, I have never seen one of his films.
Not a single one?
No, I just never got around to it. I was kind of like always aware of his films. I never got around to seeing any of them. What a terrible thing to admit.
How could you? How could you? Oh no, they're beautiful. They're works of art in themselves. Do you have Netflix?
No, we don't actually. No, so are they available on there?
Yes, they are. Do you have Amazon Prime?
No, we don't have that either.
Okay, understandable. How do you watch your films?
We have a DVD player.
Oh Lord, how ancient! A thing of the past.
But I have to admit also, they're watching. You know, my two children aren't that. They're not particular fans of watching films anyway.
Oh, wow.
So actually getting around to watching anything was quite hard. Yeah, but you know, maybe that will change. We keep saying, right, we're going to watch some films, and you know,
it just doesn't happen.
Yeah, just oh no, let's not watch that.
Oh. Is it hard deciding on a specific film for the whole family?
Yeah, I think there is that, and also. My other view about things, I don't like watching things which I find stressful.
Okay, understandable.
You know, I think so. Yeah, I don't like. You know, I won't watch Killing Eve and you know, sort of those all of those kinds of things.
Oh, Killing Eve.
Yeah.
Oh, understand. Yeah, that is horrific. We did a script in class recently, and it's disturbing. Like one of the actors had to make themselves totally paralyzed with terror.
Yeah.
And to then watch that.
I know. Yeah, exactly. So I'm a bit of a wuss, really, and I just
No,
I just watch Bake Off, and you know.
Excellent, nice. Have you seen Taskmaster?
Oh yes.
Oh, wonderful.
I love. Well, you know, Alex Horn comes from Midhurst, which is
I don't
just
know.
just
Alex
north of it.
Horn.
He's a local boy.
Oh, fabulous. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, my mate Alex Bruton, who I'll have on the podcast at some point.
Okay.
He is a huge fan of Taskmaster, so I'll
Yeah,
let
it's
him know.
brilliant. Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
we can hunt Alex Hurst, did you say?
Alex Horn.
Oh, Horn.
Alex Horn. Little Alex Horn. Yeah, he's a funny guy, and he's the is his show. It's not the other chap. What's his name? Craig, what's his name? Oh,
Craig Davis.
Craig Davis. Yes, that's right. Sorry.
That's it. No
Yeah.
worries.
Yeah. Although he's the Taskmaster, yes, it's not actually his show.
So Alex Horn.
Alex Horn is his show. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
No, it's brilliant. Yeah. So we watched that, and yeah, not a great deal more else than that, actually, to be honest.
Have you ever seen I'm a Celebrity? Get Me Out of Here.
We have sort of watched a little bit of that.
Yeah. Are your daughters
to
more
be
into
fair.
it? More
Yes, I think. But again, it's kind of like it's quite gentle viewing, really.
True. Oh, I wouldn't say so in recent years.
Yeah.
From what I don't watch it myself, but I've heard that they've had to eat eyeballs of certain animals. And
Well, and I have to admit, I'm not. I'm not a huge fan of that. You know, I kind of think, you know, leave the critters. You know.
yeah, it's a bit cruel, really.
Yes.
To both the humans and the animals.
Yeah, exactly. I leave the ants in the wood, and you know, you leave the
Just have
the
a normal-
cockroaches, you know, in the wherever they live, the kind of.
Just have a normal camp out.
Don't squash them.
It's just not necessary.
Exactly.
So, what sort of things do you sell at your charity shop other than stamps? Oh, actually, you did mention. Sorry,
Yes.
you've brought some extra bits with you.
Oh
did you
yes,
say?
you know, it's just paraphernalia, really.
Oh.
So.
We've got a minute and 2 minutes and 30
Crikey.
seconds left.
So blimey. Wow.
Have you enjoyed this?
Oh yeah, no, it's been fun.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's upside down. That's why.
Oh, no.
So I just. Tweezers.
Right.
So that's the first. So you don't actually touch the stamps.
Ah, okay.
But
Would that decrease the value? Is it like every time you touch it,
Yes.
some paint should drop off?
Yeah, exactly. And then there are things like that's a UV lamp. So I don't know whether that will. There's on many of the.
Would it work better with the lamp off?
Yeah, it's it might. Some. Can you see some? So there's some of those stamps kind of glow at us. No, there's nothing. Sometimes they'll pick out. It'll pick out. Actually, you can see.
Yeah.
You can see that there's a band of reflective. Can you see that?
the edge, yes. Yeah, I see that.
On the down the middle, it's reflecting more.
Oh, what does that mean?
Well, that's it's see if I can pick out. That's a second class. It's the difference between first and second class.
Are these first class?
Yeah, those are a bit older, so I don't think they're well. What it is so a second class stamp will have a single band. It's called phosphor tagging.
Yeah.
And so it's a way of first class stamps have two bands on either side.
Right.
So it's just the way that the machines can actually read the difference between a first class stamp and a second class stamp.
Okay.
So that's all it is. It's a way of automatically sorting. So it's rather than doing it by hand, which is what used to happen back in the day.
Jesus.
I know, you can imagine how it. So there's there are things like, oh yeah, there's so this is it's what's called a perforation gauge. So also with the perforations on the sides of the stamps,
Yeah.
you can have different stamps with different perforations. So the perforations are measured by the number of perforations in a 2 centimeter. So in a 2 centimeter space. So you can see on the side here, you got all these. Probably easy to see. Yeah, look, you can see it better. So that'll be 14 perforations within a 2 centimeter space.
Okay.
So you can have one stamp which is, let's say, perforated 12, and that might be worth 10p. But if it's perforated 13 and a half, could be worth a couple of hundred. So it's kind of like you just never know.
That's fascinating.
But again, it's yeah, no,
Sorry.
yeah. So it's but again, it's because when stamps are printed, you can actually have a situation that because stamps are printed in runs, like any printing run.
Yeah.
And then they might all get used up, and then they need some more, so they'll do another smaller print run, let's say, and then but by that time they might be using a different perforating machine, so you get a different perforation. So it's not because they've done it on purpose or anything like that. It's a simple, what they call, that's just the way. It's just the way it happened.
Yeah, the world has evolved in a different way to use a different perforator.
Exactly.
Wow. This has been so much fun.
It has.
Thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, cool. Excellent.
Awesome.
Yes.
Cool.
You never knew that stamps were so interesting.
I never knew. I know the whole. Well, I doubt that's the whole history of stamps.
No.
Is that just a little fraction of common knowledge about stamps?
Yeah. But it is, yeah. Well, but it keeps me occupied, and yes, it keeps me in my, keeps me in my analog world.
Analog. Oh, fabulous. As long as it makes you happy.
Exactly.
Bye.